Did you know, son? I once thought about quitting football at 16. It's something I don't talk about much. Most people only see the man who scores goals, who lifts trophies, who smiles for cameras. But before all that, I was just a skinny kid from Madeira, running barefoot on uneven ground, chasing a dream I could barely hold with my own two hands. You've heard stories, maybe from others, maybe even from me in passing, but I want you to really know who your father was before he became the man the world knows. Not for the sake of nostalgia, but because one day, when you face your own storms, I hope something in these words will remind you, you are never alone. Madeira wasn't a place people left to conquer the world. It was a place you stayed, worked hard, loved your family, and accepted life as it came. But I was restless. Even at 10, I could feel it, this burning thing inside my chest. Not arrogance. Not ambition. Just belief. A belief that the ball at my feet meant something. That if I just kicked it hard enough, fast enough, smart enough, maybe the world would hear me. Leaving home at 12 wasn't noble. It was terrifying. You're about that age now. And when I look at you, I see everything I wasn't. You have comfort, support, a name. I had none of that. I was just the boy from the island, quiet, awkward, too emotional. I cried myself to sleep in Lisbon more nights than I can count. I missed your grandmother's cooking. I missed your uncle's jokes. I missed home. And the city didn't care. At the academy, no one slowed down for me. I was mocked for my accent, for the way I dressed, for crying too much, even for my legs being too thin. They laughed when I trained alone after hours. They didn't understand that it wasn't obsession, it was survival. Every time I laced up my boots, it felt like I was walking into a battle. Not just to prove myself to coaches, but to fight the voice inside that whispered, "You're not good enough." There was one night, in particular. Cold. Rain hitting the windows. I'd just been told by a coach that I'd never make it to the senior team. That I was too weak. That maybe I should consider going back home. I called your grandmother that night. She didn't say much. Just listened. And then, in the silence, she asked me, "Cristiano, do you want this?" I said yes. Quietly. Almost too scared to believe it. And she replied, "Then act like it's yours already." That sentence stuck with me. I didn't know what she fully meant until years later. But from that moment on, I stopped playing to prove something. I started playing because I believed, truly believed, that the future I saw in every ball was already waiting for me. I just had to catch up to it. Son, we live in a world obsessed with results. Goals, likes, numbers, fame. But back then, all I had was a pair of boots, a stitched-up ball, and a dream so loud it drowned out the world's doubts. And now, I want you to know, whatever it is you choose to chase in life, whether it's football, art, business, something I can't even imagine yet, let it come from that same place. From belief. From the quiet, unshakable part of you that refuses to quit even when the lights go out. Because the trophies, they don't define me. The cameras? They fade. But that boy from Madeira, scared, skinny, stubborn, he never left me. He became my strength. And maybe, just maybe, he can be yours too. But that's not the end of the story, son. It only gets harder from here. Because belief is one thing. But standing tall, when 80,000 people rise, not to cheer, but to jeer, that's another battle entirely. You remember that line, don't you? How do you stand tall when 80,000 people rise, not to cheer, but to jeer? That happened to me, son. Not in some faraway country. At home. At the Santiago Bernabéu. A place that was supposed to be mine. A place where I had given everything, goals, sweat, discipline, years of my life. But there I was, standing in the middle of the pitch, hearing boos from my own people. It's strange, you know, how silence can be louder than noise. Because in that moment, when they turned on me, I couldn't hear them. Not really. I couldn't hear the chants, the whistles, the judgment. All I heard was the voice of my first coach in Madeira. He once told me, "Cristiano, never lower your head, even when they throw stones at you. Because when you hold your head high, your heart won't break." And that night, those words became my armor. But let me be honest with you, it still hurt. Not the kind of pain you show on the outside. This wasn't a bruise or a pulled hamstring. It was the kind of pain that sits in your chest and makes you question everything. Am I still enough? Do they still believe in me? Was all of this worth it? You'll face that too one day. Maybe not in a stadium, but somewhere. A classroom, a boardroom, a room full of strangers. And you'll feel it, the weight of expectations, of being misunderstood, of giving your all and still being told it's not enough. And in that moment, I want you to remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. When I got to Manchester, it was the same story. New language. New country. New pressure. I was 18, thousands of miles from home. Everyone saw the hairstyle, the stepovers, the flash. But inside, I was just a kid trying to find his place. Sir Alex saw through all that. He saw me. There was this one training session where I messed up badly. He pulled me aside after and said, "Cristiano, talent isn't enough. You've got to suffer to be great." And I never forgot that. He didn't mean pain for the sake of pain. He meant discipline, focus, resilience, choosing to rise every time life tries to knock you down. You know how many times I was told no? That I was too selfish, too dramatic, too difficult to coach. They didn't see what I saw. They didn't feel what I felt every time the ball touched my foot, that this game was my calling. That I was born to do this. But even when you're born for something, you still have to bleed for it. There were nights I played injured. Nights I walked off the pitch with blood in my boots and tears behind my smile. Nights I lost finals. Nights I saw others lift the trophy I thought was mine. Nights I watched Messi walk away with the award, again. Do you know what I did the next morning? I got up. I trained harder. Not because I hated losing, but because I loved winning the right way. And I want you to understand something, son. There's no shortcut to greatness. Not in football. Not in life. You will be doubted. You will be booed. You will fail. But failure doesn't mean the story is over. Sometimes, failure is the beginning of the real story. And you know what's funny? Some of my best goals, they came right after the worst games. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when you turn pain into fuel. I remember a moment after losing a Champions League semifinal. I sat in the locker room, head down, just staring at the floor. Everyone was quiet. And then Marcelo came over, patted my shoulder, and said, "They'll never know how much this hurts." And he was right. The world sees the headlines. They don't see the heartbreak, the nights without sleep, the moments when doubt creeps in like smoke under a locked door. But here's what I want you to take from all this. When everything else falls away, the praise, the critics, the noise, what remains is who you are. And who you are is what you decide to fight for. I didn't make it because I was lucky. I made it because I refused to let go. Because every insult, every injury, every failure, I turned it into something stronger inside me. And you can too. But remember this, it's not about being the best in the world. It's about being the best version of yourself. Even when no one's watching. Especially then. Because that's when it counts. That's when champions are made. You know, sometimes people ask me, "What was your favorite goal, Cristiano?" And I smile, but I don't answer. Because they wouldn't understand. It wasn't the header against Chelsea in the final. Not the bicycle kick in Turin. Not even the last-minute free kick against Spain in the World Cup. The truth is, my favorite moments didn't come from the goals. They came from what those goals meant. You were there when we won the Euro in 2016. Well, sort of. You were little, running around in the locker room after the game, chasing a ball with the other players' kids. You didn't know yet what that night meant to me. You didn't see what came before, the years of heartbreak with the national team. The final in 2004 when we lost to Greece, in our own country. I was just a teenager back then, crying on the pitch. Crying because I thought I'd let an entire nation down. 12 years later, I cried again. But not because I lost. I cried because we'd finally done it. And not even an injury in the final could stop me from feeling like I was right where I was always meant to be. That night, I learned something. Sometimes, you don't need to be on the field to win. Sometimes, leadership means standing on the sideline, screaming your lungs out, giving your soul, just so your brothers believe they can finish what you started. That's what I want to teach you, son. Football has given me so much. The trophies, the awards, the records, they're all there, lined up in glass cases. But none of them will teach you how to be a man. You know what will? The days when you lose and still shake hands. The nights when you want to scream, but you choose to stay quiet and listen. The moments when no one's watching, and you still do the right thing anyway. I've met kings. I've had dinner with presidents. I've been praised by millions, criticized by millions more. But at the end of the day, I still go home. I still put you to bed. I still sit with your grandmother and tell her I love her. Because all this, all of it, means nothing if I forget who I am. And I want that for you. Not the goals. Not the fame. I want you to know what matters. Be kind. Be disciplined. Be relentless when you have to, but always remember why you started. And if that reason ever becomes blurry, come talk to me. Or better yet, go play. Kick the ball around. Close your eyes and just listen to the sound of it hitting the ground. That's how I remember who I am. People think I trained hard to beat the others. That I woke up at dawn to prove a point. No. I trained that way because I loved it. Because when the world turned its back, football stayed with me. Because I found peace in repetition. In sweat. In silence. And when I finally held the Ballon d'Or for the first time, I didn't think, I made it. I thought of the boy in Madeira, alone in a dormitory, crying into his pillow. I thought, you were right not to give up. And I hope one day, you'll have that moment too. Maybe not with a golden trophy, maybe it'll be something only you will understand. But I hope you'll look back and think, I held on. And I'm proud of who I became. You see, football taught me how to score. But falling down taught me how to live. You're older now, son. You see the world differently than when you were chasing balls through the hallways at home. And maybe you've started to notice what I've always tried to hide, the aches in the morning, the quiet moments after matches, the weight behind my eyes when I think no one's watching. It's not just age. It's legacy. And that's the hardest part to carry. Not the expectations from fans. Not the pressure from clubs. The hardest part is asking yourself, when the cheering stops, who will I be? I ask myself that every day. And you know what I realized? I was never just playing for titles or applause. I was playing so one day, I could sit across from you and say all of this with my heart open. So you'd know that greatness isn't built under stadium lights. It's built in the dark, when no one believes in you but you. It's built in the decisions you make when no one's watching. And how you treat the kit man, the waitress, the stranger who wants a photo, even on the days when you're tired, angry, or broken. If football has taught me anything, it's this. Your real legacy isn't what you do. It's how you do it. With respect. With hunger. With humility. And maybe, most importantly, with love. I played with my heart. I trained with obsession. I lived with purpose. And not because I was perfect, but because I wanted to show you that even when the world gives you every reason to stop, you can keep moving forward. You've seen the trophies. You've seen the goals. But I hope what stays with you is the silence before the whistle. The way I stood with my hand on my heart before every Portugal game. The way I hugged my teammates after they missed. The way I stood tall even after defeat. Because that's where the real story lives. And someday, when I'm no longer on the pitch, no longer the face on the poster or the name in the headlines, I'll still be here. Not as CR7, but as your father. Sitting across from you like this. Ready to listen. Ready to guide you, not as a footballer, but as a man. So, remember this. You don't need to be me. You don't need to chase my shadow. All I want is for you to find your own light. And when life gets hard, and it will, I want you to close your eyes and hear my voice. You are strong. You are worthy. And you are never alone. Because I was just a skinny kid from Madeira. But I saw my future in every ball. And now, my future, it's you.